Protests against President Hosni Mubarak are continuing today, the 7th day now of the crisis in Egypt. Overnight gunfire crackled through the streets of Cairo. Nearly 100 people have died since the anti-government demonstrations began. Yesterday, in hopes of quelling the protests, Mubarak ordered his new cabinet to come up with a series of economic reforms. Meanwhile, dozens of protesters gathered outside the White House on Sunday morning. They're demanding the Obama administration support the demonstrations in Egypt. Administration officials have called on Egypt's leaders to make a transition to democracy, but have not said if Mubarak still has the support of the United States. For more now, we are joined by CBS News foreign affairs analyst Pamela Falk. Thanks for being here, Pamela. First of all, let's explain just why the U.S. is walking such a tightrope here. There's a real fine line.
Right, precisely. And that is because the United States has two interests, in addition to removing any Americans and getting them out of harm's way. One is having a stable, secular, prosperous Egypt. And the second is also making sure U.S. interests, including a stable Egypt and Israel, protected and recognized by its neighbors. And those two things have to go side by side. In other words, the United States wants to help a democracy movement in Egypt, but on the other hand, they've had an ally for 30 years. And so they're trying to make sure that they're not leading anything or seen as puppeteering a change.
Talk to me about Mohammed al-Baradei. He's emerged as really the leading force of the opposition here. Yesterday, he got the backing of the Muslim Brotherhood. Could he be Egypt's next leader?
He certainly could be. I think anyone who thinks they know where this is heading misspeaks, because it's volatile, it's acute, and it's moving very fast. Part of what the opposition is asking for are elections. And what they're looking for is an economic reform. They're looking for political reform where there are opposition groups, and also an end to the police corruption and the police crackdowns on dissent. So there's a lot that the opposition is looking for. What I think you'll more likely see, if there is a transition and it is starting to look more like Mubarak will have to leave, is some kind of a unity government. And that's where al-Baradei might come in.
I think what's scary for so many people here is there are so many question marks. Is there a possibility that we could see a repeat of what we saw in Iran after the Iranian Revolution, an Islamic Republic was formed?
Right, precisely, and that's the fear. That is the big elephant in the room, is the fear that a protest that you saw very similar to these kind of protests in the sense that they were popular, they were young people, it was secular in the beginning, and then all of a sudden an Islamic revolution came in and you had the Ayatollahs and now you have Ahmadinejad. They are Shia. Egypt is Sunni, and that's not the only difference, but I think it's less likely, although no one discounts the fact that within these crowds there are manipulators trying to change the course of events. I think when you mention al-Baradei, he has a very good reputation. He has a doctorate from NYU. He was born in Egypt. He is Muslim. He has a law degree from there and ran the International Watchdog Agency. He is the kind of leader, but these things are very organic. It's a revolution. And I think the hope would be that the Obama administration, and we've seen some of it from WikiLeaks, is a little bit ahead of the curve. There's an April 6th movement. That's the young people's movement on Facebook that may have sparked some of the protests. One would hope that all of these people come together in a peaceful transition, but that's the unknown.
So quickly, Pam, there's another elephant in the room, and that's Israel. No one's watching it closer than them as well.
Right, precisely. Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, has spoken with everyone, with the Obama administration, with all regional leaders. And because of what happened in Tunisia last week, there is a fear that this could be a rupture rather than a peaceful transition. Israel is being very quiet about it because Israel is very clear that it's not Israel that's sparking it or in any way responsible for it, and Israel sees it as principally an economic issue. 40% of the Egyptian population lives under the poverty line, and 45% earn $2 a day. So a lot of it's economic, and Israel has a lot of interest in this principally because Egypt was the first Arab country to recognize Israel, and they were so, of course, under Anwar Sadat, instrumental in the Camp David Accords.
And in the meantime, the uprising continues. Day 7 now in Egypt. We'll keep watching it. CBS News Foreign Affairs. Absolutely. CBS News Foreign Affairs analyst Pamela Falk, we thank you again
Absolutely,
for your
Joe.
insight.